Hello, hello, hello. We are live. Ladies, if you could please unmute yourselves. Hello and happy
Hi.
Women's Day to you both and all of our listeners who have tuned in. Thank you everyone for joining us. We are truly grateful for your presence. I'm a regional marketer at Zoho Middle East and Africa. We are a business technology company with over 55 plus apps for marketing, sales, HR, you name it. We have a business app for you. And without further ado, let me introduce our two remarkable speakers who have joined us live here today, who'll be sharing some very valuable insights. So, firstly, we have Awani Faith. Please excuse me if I'm not pronouncing your names correctly. Who is representing She Code Africa, a nonprofit organization focused on celebrating and empowering women across tech in Africa. She is also an ambassador of the Google Women Tech Makers and has stated that her journey in technology is rooted in her passion for community engagement with a growing interest in developer relations as a career path. Very happy to have you on the call with us today. And secondly, we have Ola Diwara, the executive director and co-founder at Tech for Dev, a nonprofit that has improved the livelihood of over 160,000 Africans due to access to skills, digital skills. And she is also passionate about bridging the digital knowledge divide between men and women through the Women Texters Initiative, which has over 9,000 women trained in technology across 22 African countries. And hear this, is looking to empower 5 million women across Africa by 2030. Seriously, some remarkable achievements, and I'm sure that we're all super eager to gain some knowledge from you ladies today. So let's dive straight in to the questions. The first thing that I would like to ask you both in light of today's theme is, what does being a woman actually mean to you? So, Wara, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Good morning from where I am. At the moment, it's 5 a.m. Uh, so, what does being a woman mean to me? I mean, I think that being a woman means endless possibilities, if you ask me, right? It means endless possibilities. It means the possibility to become who I want to be. It means the possibility to express myself in the way I want to be. It means the possibilities of dreaming of an equal world, where one gender is not preferred over another gender, and uh, pretty much, yeah, that's it. It's a world of endless possibilities as a woman for me.
I agree. Women wear multiple hats and we have endless possibilities, that's for sure. And Ani, and your perspective on this?
Okay, good morning. Over here it's 11 a.m. Hi, Ola Diwara. Good morning. So yeah, being a woman to me is having a very strong sense of identity. Of course, being a support system, being a help, and being someone who has a voice that can, help others also identify themselves. A lot of women tend to take the back seat and believe they can't do, what they want to do. But being a woman is saying, oh no, I can do this despite the fact that I'm a woman. I don't have to be a man before I take decisions, before I make bold steps. I can still do this as a woman. So yeah, that's what it means to me. Thank you.
Very true. Yeah, a lot of women are still trying to find, the difference between having a bold voice and not be seen as too outspoken and everything. So that is definitely still a current challenge that I think a lot of us are faced with around the globe. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that insight. Completely relatable. So the
You're
next
welcome.
question I would like to ask for Ala Diwara is what inspired you to focus on empowering women in technology? And specifically, what are your goals for empowering 5 million women by 2030?
Okay, that's a $1 million question.
Yeah, let's start with the big one.
So what made me focus on deciding to empower women in technology, and what's the plan for 5 billion women? So this was in 2024 now. I tend to make some dates. This was in 2015, right? We organized a program called Codepreneur. And I mean, if I just take you back a bit into like our journey as an organization, it's like Tech for Dev pretty much. I know a lot of people don't know this. We pretty much started out as a little project during the Ebola crisis in Nigeria. And what had happened at that point in time was that we were looking to build a website. My co-founder and I, my co-founder used to work at Microsoft then, right? And I was just working in an internet service provider company, and we were talking about, oh, how could we help or support with like the whole Ebola crisis, and then we came up with the idea of creating like a website, an informational website where people could go get information about, how to wash their hands well, sanitize, and all of that for Ebola. And, when we were looking out for someone to help us build that website, it was war. It was literally war trying to get someone. So eventually we got someone, we built the website, went on to get over 1 million views on that website, visitors that came to that website, right? But after that, we decided that because of the challenge we faced at the point where we were trying to build the website, they were just finding technology generally, that we wanted to have a sort of like a pilot project. Back then, that project was called Code for Impact, right? And we're going to be training, technology talent. We had always known that technology was the future, but maybe we didn't know it was going to come this fast. And thanks to the advent of like COVID-19, that sort of like just skyrocketed how the world transitioned quickly, to adopt technology. So we had Code for Impact. That was our first program. And then we had a program called Codepreneur. Codepreneur for me was the tipping point. So for Codepreneur, we had a classroom in a federal university of 100 people. So 50 men and 50 women. And then something interesting happened in that class. First and foremost, about 60 to 70% of the women in that class dropped out before the end of the training. And then the women who were left in the class, or the women who managed to get through or scale through the end, we realized that it felt like the voices of the men in the room were dominating theirs. And it was just pretty, and we just realized that we would have like conversations be happening in class, the women will not be speaking up. Not because they don't have what to say, but because they just felt timid. They just felt some level of imposter syndrome, right? And they would always be quiet, even though when you ask them questions, you can hear their responses. It's really smart, but they're not speaking up. And then when that program ended for us, it was sort of like when we were doing like a post-program evaluation, we're like, if we do want women to participate in technology, we might need to create a specific women-focused program that allows women to be in the room with other women.
Yes,
and at least then we believe that they will be able to speak up, they will find room for expression, and they'll be able to glean the skill sets that they need to glean, to be able to land themselves jobs or build businesses in technology. And that was it pretty much. That was sort of like the start of the journey of of empowering 5 million women across Africa. We started with Nigerian Women Techstars, which we did across 12 states in Nigeria, 2,475 women trained over a 2-year period. And then we scaled the program from Nigerian Women Techstars to Women Techstars, which was then our goal, our broad goal, which is what you just spoke to now, which is to reach 5 million women across Africa by 2030 with technology skills through a blend of empowerment and advocacy.
Got it. Amazing. It's great to hear how it initially started for you, and it always all just starts with a simple idea. So it's great to hear the thought process behind that major goal. So thank you for sharing that. So adding to this, the next question, Ani, if you could please answer this for us, is given your extensive involvement in community building, what strategies have you found most effective in encouraging and supporting women's participation in technology?
Okay, like I said earlier, a lot of women likes to take the back seat. I mean, because they feel, I don't know, maybe intimidated. But for me, as a community person, a community builder, and a community manager, uh, and also an ambassador as for the Women Tech Makers program, we have learned to, create opportunities for our community members, the females. Um, for example, I would say one was the Women Tech Stars Fellowship that Oladiwura just spoke about. I actually was even one of a fellow in one of the cohorts. Yeah, and and I try to share those kind of opportunities to my community members because I mean they tend to flow more when they see a range of people that are of their kind. Maybe they feel, oh, they can express themselves here. And I remember there was a particular time when I was taking the fellowship, there was a particular time Oladibura sent us a mail via Microsoft Teams, and it was very touching. I mean, this time we had very very serious issue in the educational system. A lot of people were in at home. There was strike. People were were home for a very long time, so they had time to take on the program, the fellowship. But then, boom, all of a sudden, school resumed back. People had to resume back to school. People were preparing for exams, and they still had to, take part in the fellowship, write their exams, do their classes, you know. But there was this mail she sent, and it was really encouraging. So I would say that, for one, I find opportunities that tend to encourage women, no matter how slow their pace may be, no matter how unseemingly they might seem to think that it is not, they're not getting it. But then just finding opportunities that tend to bring them up, encourage them, and bring them with people of like minds is what we do. We share those kind of opportunities, sometimes internships, sometimes hackathons, sometimes trainings that just helps them and encourage them to be comfortable and to be able to speak up. Yeah, so that's that for me.
No, that sounds like a really good approach. And just adding on to the answer that you've just given us, what steps do you think the industry needs to create a more inclusive and supportive environment?
Okay. A more inclusive and supportive environment for the women, for me, it
Yes.
would be that, I mean, give them the same opportunities you give a man. I mean, there are some opportunities when you see, for instance, the pay, it's supposed to be fixed. And sometimes when it's a woman that is about to take that role, they begin to start to want to negotiate the
Mm.
pay because I mean she's a female, they feel she shouldn't earn that much and all of that, which is very, very wrong on my part. So I feel they should be much more inclusive, um, put out, put out support for women. They should encourage them and make them see that yes, they are loved, they are supported, and they really care about their well-being because women go through a lot. Women go through a lot, and it's not easy. A lot of
100%.
women are, yeah, a lot of women are stay-at-home moms. They have to they have to. I mean, in my class during the Women's Textiles Fellowship, we had we had fellows that were mothers that were, and they still had work. They still had a 9 to 5. They still had to take on the fellowship. I mean, that's a lot, right? So, just creating opportunities and avenues to celebrate them is, I think, is a good thing that would help them feel loved and even be more efficient in their roles wherever they find themselves. So yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more with you. Gender equality is definitely a pressing topic. And I think a lot of people will be speaking about it today, and hopefully, some more positive development happens because we really do have multiple roles. We are 9 to 5 business owners. mother, family responsibilities. Honestly, the lists are endless. So couldn't agree more with you. So seeing as we're looking at it from a non-profit sector majorly today, more than your standard corporates, Ola seeing as you are a Forbes non-profit council member, what opportunities or challenges do you see in the nonprofit sector, particularly to advancing these digital skills?
Okay, so I think I'll pick the challenges first because I think the challenges are more than are a bit in my head more than the opportunities. And when I say challenges, right, there's room for opportunities when you think about the challenges.
Of
So I would
course.
say that from a non-profit sector, it will be. I think I'll split it into maybe two, perhaps. So let me give a bit of an example because I always like to give a background so you sort of understand what it is that I'm saying. Um, so, and I've used the Women's Access Program as an example. One of the major deterrents that we get of women who are truly good or great at what they do, they have the skill set, they want to learn more, they want to use these skills to be able to improve their economic power. One of the major challenges that these women face is they don't have in Nigeria and even generally just across Africa, just across 22 African countries we're dealing with, is one, a lot of them don't have access to devices. I mean, and devices means like laptops. Let me give you an example. The last fellowship program that it is that we ran, because it's a bring your own device system. Like where the fellowship program, for example, has almost 2,000 women who are on that program. We possibly can't cater for 2,000 devices at the moment. So it's sort of like a bring your own device program. And I saw women who had just gained like an admission into the program on Twitter, raising funds for laptops, right? It's like, oh, I've got 50,000. I need 350,000 more to be able to get a laptop, right? For some of the cases that I saw, actually, they were able to raise the funds on Twitter. I felt a bit taken aback because I'm like, this shouldn't be like, if you have the skill set, right? Having a device shouldn't be a deterrent for you to be able to learn, right? And we have typical situations like that. I know that there are quite a number of nonprofit initiatives and even individuals that contribute towards, oh, we're giving out 5 free laptops to women today, we're giving out 3 free laptops to women tomorrow. Those things help, but in the grand scheme of what needs to be achieved, it's still a drop in the ocean. So that's one. Two, I would say is, and I'm just giving you examples just based off of our experience with the Women's Access Program, is the cost of data. And data means like being able to access internet, right? Our program is virtual. And one of the reasons why it is virtual is because of, one, it allows women from across different countries to be able to be in the same class, right? And learn from each other. So that's one. Two is that we also realize that if we were going to give women a chance to be able to learn a skill set for 6 months, right? It was going to be easier for it to be virtual for them. Why? Because one, if you're a mother, for example, you can take care of your kids from home and then you can also learn. Like you don't have to worry about taking transport somewhere, going somewhere, for you to be able to learn at the end of the day, right? So our program is virtual. People need to connect to the internet to be able to take that program, right? But then the cost of connectivity is so high, right? And some women drop off the program because, oh, I can't afford to continue to pay, this much to be able to afford data for the program. So that's another thing. That's another area where we feel like if there are challenges, but there are also rooms for opportunities where if the private sector could partner with the nonprofit sector, right, around providing technical partnerships, right, in terms of being able to support with device donations, being able to support with like data donations, it goes a long way in helping to support the women who actually do want to learn these skill sets, to be able to learn them. And beyond just learning the skill set, we also support them, at least Tech for Dev does, we also support them actively to be able to land job and start their own businesses. So you know that for every device that you donate, or for every gigabyte of data you donate, right, you're supporting women who can eventually, sort of like build some economic power for themselves and be able to fend for themselves better and their families.
Completely. Yeah, the two major points I took away from that is resource shortages, which is a huge thing, and access to reliable data and connectivity. I mean, I'm based out of South Africa, and I'm sure you guys also know in Nigeria, the load shedding, the lack of electricity, the lack of power. We're having blackouts, almost weekly, and in all sectors, it's seriously straining. So that is a major point as well. Thank you for sharing that. So I want to take it back a little bit to the balance topic, because that particularly interests me. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners here as well today who are juggling multiple things in their own lives. Ani, could you maybe be the one to answer this for us? How do you balance all your roles and responsibilities as a product designer, a community manager, a co-founder of web developers? Are there any specific skills or strategies to help you manage these various responsibilities?
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I wear many hats. I'm a product designer, a community manager, and yeah, I'm also a co-founder for Web Developers. So how do I balance this? I think it's just consistency for me. So I started out very early when I was still in school, like still in the university. As at my 300 level, I started, attending tech events, being part of the tech community. And then even though I was still clueless about what exactly I wanted to do, I tried a lot of things. I tried going into mobile app development. As at the time, I think something Oladiora mentioned now about laptops or devices was a big challenge for me. So I didn't have the system requirements I needed to be able to, be a mobile app developer. So that had to go down the drain. Then I switched into graphics. Graphics was okay, but I felt it was too overwhelming. And then eventually I settled for product design. So I think I started out with product design, and then along the line, still being part of the community, I mean, it was very interesting to see people come and learn something new. And then I said, oh, why not? Let's take on leadership roles for this. So I was in that voluntarily. I've volunteered as the lead for She Code Africa, volunteered as a lead, currently one of the organizers for the GTG program, and also an ambassador for Women Tech Makers. So it came stresslessly for me because I just saw it as something I could do, because it was giving people, purpose. It was giving people a sense of direction. A lot of people, came for our events or come for our events, and they're interested. They are happy to see that, oh, I can do this. I mean, our educational system is such that it takes a very long time for you to be able to put to practice what you're being taught, in class. But here it's 100% practical. You can start learning something today, and then before you know it, you you can you can pick up a project, work on it, and then it's functional. People are able to use it. So it was just interesting for me to combine that with product design. And then along the line, I started working after I finished school, and then I, met a couple of guys, and then we founded this organization called We Developers, actually, not web developers, We Developers. And then it was still coming out of the passion to see people, grow better at what they do. So basically, what we do is we connect, developers, designers, tech talents with organizations that are looking for these talents, similar to what TopTal does, similar to what will I say Upwork? I'm not sure. Upwork is like a freelancing platform, but then it's basically like bridging the gap between talents who are looking for jobs. So we just come around, vet these talents, and we connect them to these organizations looking for these opportunities. So it's I would say everything is still in the same circle. So it's not really difficult to combine all. I mean, it's still in tech, it's still, community management is still ensuring that people are doing well. So, of course, co-founding with developers, it's similar to community development, just that this time around you're doing it on a business level, you're doing it on, a more professional level, meeting with other people, other organizations, and all of that. So it's really been easy for me, or it's been good for me. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Very happy to hear that. I'm taking a lot of mental notes. And one takeaway that I've got from you is, don't be afraid just to start and just to try. It might be a new division of the business or a new department, or you feel like you don't have the skill sets for that new position, but just try, just take it on more and more, and then you learn to see what you become good at. And then maybe one day we can all be as successful as you doing multiple things at once. So definitely just taking that first step and trying. Thank you for sharing that. So let's gain some more knowledge from you, Oladiwera. Just adding to this practical knowledge of balance and managing it all, can you tell us how, from obtaining your Master of Advanced Management from the Yale School of Management, plus your MBA from the Lagos Business School, how has this informed your approach to leading everything that you do in your life, as well as, the Tech for Dev?
Okay, I always feel like my questions are $1 million question, but I will try to synthesize so that I don't speak too much. So, when it comes to how sort of what my journey, right, has been, because that's pretty much how I'll interpret the question, right? For the Lagos Business School, I did an MBA, and for me, it was more around learning the principle. I did not know that I was going to sort of like start tech for them. Like it was just like it was a stumble upon, right? We're trying to solve a problem with Ebola, and that's sort of how the trajectory was. I wanted to become a management consultant. That was what it was. And so I went through the MBA program with my head thinking, oh, okay, I was going to go through this. I'm one of those people that I sort of, from when I graduated like undergrad, I sort of had the trajectory of what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted to be a management consultant. So I felt I was like, I was going to get experience in research. I was going to get industry experience. I was going to do my MBA, and then I was going to pivot into becoming a management consultant because I'd received advice, and that was the trajectory. And that was pretty much the trajectory I took actually. Had a career in research, had an industry experience, and did my MBA. And at the point where I was doing my MBA, it was like usually between your first year and your second year, you go on an internship program. And of course, I got on an internship program at a management consulting firm, Accenture. And my 3 month internship was sort of like fuzzy. Like I was like, okay, is this what I had planned my entire career to come and do? No, I don't think that that's where I want to be, right? And to be honest, I had sort of like an identity crisis at that moment because I was like, I had done everything in life to be here. And now I'm here and I realize that that is not exactly what it is that I wanted to do. Or the industry doesn't look, some of the thoughts that I had about being a management consultant, it's not exactly the way it works, right? And I was just like, what am I going to do now? Right? I know I don't want to be a management consultant. And then the second year of my MBA, it was more like, oh, I took a class in entrepreneurship. I was like, okay, this looks somewhere like the pathways of something that sounds interesting. And that was sort of like the trajectory for me. I took that class. That was the beginning of the journey. I went to, and at that time when I was wrapping up my MBA, the project at LBS, the project at Tech for Dev, which was like the Ebola project, I was doing that whilst I was in LBS. We had pretty much pivoted into like doing the code for impact codepreneur that I mentioned earlier. And the organization was sort of at a point where we're making a decision to sort of like fully set it up. So Tech for Dev was set up in 2016 after I graduated from Lagos Business School. And that was it pretty much. I went to Yale, seeking for more of global exposure and sort of like a business school that sort of had an infusion between like non-profit and for profit, or development and for profit, because one of Yale School of Management is where I went to. Whose mantra is educating leaders for business and society. And that mattered a lot to me. And sort of that's how I went to Yale. I gained all the knowledge that I wanted to gain around getting that global exposure, and also around sort of like development. And when I came back to Nigeria, I mean, it was pretty much a no-brainer. Tech for Dev had kicked off fully as an organization, and then I came back to sort of like continue what it is that I started with, but with a more renewed mindset, in terms of the fact that this was the vision of the organization, and the vision of the organization centered largely around providing people across Africa access to digital and technology skills and life skills that will foster economic prosperity, financial freedom, and sustainable development. And that was what I wanted to do, and that's what I'm doing till now.
Incredible, incredible. I have so many more questions that I would love to ask, but I am being mindful of time, so I will be selective. The next question is for you, Ani. Could you please enlighten us and share how you, as a mentor, advise women who want to pursue a career in technology but are still a little bit hesitant? What advice would you give them?
Okay, so I would say that as a woman, I mean, first of all, God has blessed you to be, a very beautiful creature. So there's really no limitation except the one you give yourself. So I would say, first of all, I'll just say what worked for me. Find a community of like-minded people. Okay, for instance, a couple of people might not know what they want to start yet. Why for some they already have a passion and they want to start it, but they don't know how. So I think it would be great to find a community of like minds, you know, join them, obviously virtually if there's nowhere around you where you can join a physical community. Join them virtually and start interacting with people, start asking questions, start attending events. Like this event is a community. I mean, I believe Zoho Africa is a community that people can join. So join a community, and then before you know it, in your interactions with people, you get to know what what you have passion for. Once you begin to see that your passion is channeled towards a particular niche, then you can find someone and talk to the person. Oh, I want to start this. I want to start this. For a start, a lot of people are busy these days. They might not like give you that 100% audience of, oh, I'm busy, I'm busy. But then if you are serious, once you find that person, just always find a way to report back to that person. Oh, I started this class, I started this training, I applied for this women textiles fellowship, I got in, I'm here now, but I'm having this particular challenge. So start something basically. Once you start something, it will be easier for you to relate back with that person you've chosen to report to, either as a mentor or as an accountability partner or whatever. But the person is ahead of you already. So it would be pretty much easier for the person to, have your time. Okay, this person is going through this because he has started this. The person will see you as intentional. The person will see you as deliberate. The person will see you as, oh, you're serious. And then before you know it, those challenges, that person, instead of spending 6 months to solve this issue or to learn this skill, the person might just be able to give you a faster route to get it done, such that you're moving at a faster pace, and then eventually you're able to either land a job role, pivot or switch careers, whatever it is you want to do. I think I'll just say that. So first of all, I said find a community. In that community, find someone. And then after finding someone, start something and report back to the person. The person might share opportunities with you, or the community you join might share opportunities with you. But the most important thing is having someone to always run back to give feedbacks to, and to report back to that. Oh, this is where I am now. This is where I am not. This is where I am now, and I have this issue. Can you help me? If you can't help me, what do I do? Who do I meet? And then from there, I think it will just be good. Yeah. So that's my.
Amazing. Yeah. Find your community and thrive, basically. So, building on from these points, Ali Dubara, can you explain what are the most critical soft skills that women should obtain in today's day and age in order to be successful in any industry or business that they may be a part of?
Okay. I feel like I have one major skill that sort of, I won't say subsumes other skills, but it is a very critical skill, and that's communication. And communication is key because, I mean, communication is a skill that is often overlooked. For every time I have to mediate, let me put it that way, a disagreement or and a misunderstanding in my organization, it's usually a communication issue. Oh, somebody said, somebody did not say, I didn't think that I understood that that's what that person said. I assumed that they were saying, and communication skills is extremely critical. I just, yesterday, I still solved exactly the same problem of somebody thought or somebody said, or I assumed that the partner was saying, and I'm like, if people would be able to, communicate more clearly, so two-part communication, right? In speech, if people could be clearer in their communication, it's going to go a long way in helping. It's a skill. In fact, let me backtrack. It's a skill. If you look at the top globally in-demand skill sets, right? Communication is there. Like there's no article pretty much that you want to read that you're not going to find communication there. So it means that there's something about that skill set, right? That regardless of the era in which we're evolving into, which is the era of artificial intelligence, right? Communication skills are still going to be at the heart of the humans that are going to be, dealing with each other and interacting with each other. So ability to communicate clearly, it's important. Ability to communicate succinctly is important. And also then when you come to written communication, right, ability to just be able to write something down and people can understand what it is that you're saying. They're not confused. They know what the immediate next steps are. They know what the action line items are. They know what steps are being taken going forward. That I think is very critical. So I would say that if you can master communication skills, right, it is the queen of all the soft skills.
Completely, I couldn't agree more. I'm actually reading a book about the art of negotiation, and I've realized that some of my negotiating skills have definitely been a bit off and how important it is. And not just verbally, but also your tone, your body language are all part of how you communicate. And in light of like International Women's Day, if we're thinking on a global scale as well, how you handle conversations and things in different countries matter. I also know, different people from Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, how we present, how we engage with our customers, how we have, discussions and confrontations. It all differs. So communication is definitely, I couldn't agree more with you. Very, very, very important soft skill that everyone should really look into. So we are running out of time. I have one final question for the both of you. What is the one message that you would like to leave all of our listeners and everyone today on International Women's Day? If you could just leave us with one last key message, please.
Okay, I think I'll go first. I would say it's be your sister's keeper, right? And being your sister's keeper is pretty much looking out for the women around you, right? It's for me, it's extremely important. So looking out for their growth, looking out for when imposter syndrome kicks in, helping them, to navigate that. Be your sister's keeper. It's the way to inspire inclusion, right? It's the way to inspire inclusivity, which is sort of like the theme of the International Women's Day for this year. Just be your sister's keeper. Look out for the women in your life. Call them, reach out to them, lend them a support, a hand of support. It goes a long way in strengthening them and enabling them to come into the best of which they could be.
Okay, I think I'll go next. And I agree very, very much with Oladewura because, okay, let me share an experience of what happened 2 days ago. So I am in a group with a few of my friends, female friends, and then there's one of us her birthday was the next day. And then she just came and started complaining. She doesn't feel like it. She feels so sad. Oh, she has not done this. She has not done that. I mean, her birthday was tomorrow, and she was feeling so unhappy, so I don't know, unfulfilled. I felt, oh, people really go. And then some of the other ladies actually shared similar experiences that they've had when it's time for their birthdays. They feel like this, they're getting too old, they've not achieved this, they're not married, they've not given birth, they've not done this, they've not done that. And I'm like, oh wow, people are really going through a lot, and they can't pour it out to everybody. They can only find a space where, maybe fellow females are on, where they can share such kind of experiences and maybe just find comfort. They can't even share it with their husband. Some of them that are married can't share it with their husband. It's that bad. So I just had to like encourage her. I didn't know where the words came from, but I just spoke to her and I'm like, yes, we might not all be where we want to be, but we've started something already, and we know that we are progressive. So I'll just say that no matter how slow you think your pace is, just keep moving. I mean, last year, you might think that last year was faster than this year, but just the thought that you are not progressing alone is progress, because the moment you don't care about your progress, you don't care about what you're supposed to do, you're not bothered about where you are, you're just comfortable, then that is what's wrong. But the moment you begin to see that, oh, I've not done this, then that is the beginning of progress. So I'll just say that those thoughts would eventually skyrocket into actions for you, and then you begin to take actions. Just find someone you can always talk to, find a safe spot for encouragement, and then just keep moving. So yeah, that's it for me.
That was so, so beautiful. Thank you both for sharing those messages. Really, I'm going to write that down afterwards as a reminder to myself, because I think we're all under so much pressure and have so many responsibilities. So, those are really, really good reminders. Thank you. That brings us to the end of this conversation. I do see a few comments coming through. So, I believe that many of us have a lot more questions for you both. So I think for everyone, you can always just drop them a message on LinkedIn or any other social media platform that you're on. I'm sure these ladies would be more than happy to answer. So please do reach out to them and contact them after this session. And yeah, thank you so much once again for joining. I wish everyone an incredible Women's Day and rest of the year as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tessa. Happy International Women's Day,
Thank
everyone.
you. Happy International Women's Day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.